Oh yeah, here we go.
I'm very curious on this one. I see that we have a couple mid laners in the chat, so I want to see what
Oh yeah.
people are going to think. We got some people's OTPs
Oh yeah.
down
Yeah.
low. I have a lot of S blind. I feel like,
Yeah,
but
you do. It kind of surprised me.
I just feel like these are champions that have a lot of good value onto them. So that's kind of why I like
I
them.
I don't see like any mids get blinded. Like like if you're on red side, you're never blinding mid. You're always picking bottom jungle almost.
Yep.
It depends on your team, obviously, but like in most cases, I would say you're typically never blinding mid.
Yeah, in most cases you try to counterpick it. I think like for instance, a lot of these champions actually have flexibility, which is why they end up turning up to S. The only one that really doesn't have any flexibility to any lanes is Orianna.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Pantheon can be played in a variety of lanes. Vigar can actually be blind picked. We've seen that in the DCCS in the finals. That
Mm-hmm.
it was just straight up blind pick it for free wins. Galio is a champion that I think everybody's sleeping on, and I think with the amount of team
Yeah.
fighting that happens and chaos that happens, I think Galio is super good. And it's just like, why are you guys playing all these tanks mid lane that don't normally get played mid lane when Galio is so freaking strong? And then Syndra is just superly oppressively good and can be flexed down to the bot lane. So
Yeah.
all of my S pluses are champions that, for the most part, can get flets, and Orianna's just stable. Like that's just
Yeah.
like a super stable champion and has a lot of good matchups. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect anybody to turn around and pull out Lucian in the DCCS or something that like hard counters Orianna super hard. So
Mm-hmm. I I brought down Orianna to S instead of I had it in S plus originally. The only reason why I did is because I feel like a lot more assassin players are in DCCS right now, and so it's harder for me to put her there. Plus, she is kind of mechanically hard. The Galio one's interesting because I have Galio in D. Uh, the only reason why I don't like Galio is because just gives a free lane, and I really dislike that. I don't like just giving a free like you're just saying, okay, I will give up, and especially if you early pick it. Like to me, like an S plus is a blind OP champion. I
yeah,
can't blind Galio ever. If you blind Galio, you should get punished. Now, if you
yeah.
do or not, that's up for debate. But I think most teams would punish it.
But here's the thing too for me is like Galio is also a champion that provides great gank assist and it's hard for a lot of people to deal with. Like a lot of people sleep on how much CC actually brings into lane. And his base damage, ever since they buffed up his Winds of War, is actually really good. So you pair that together with just about most junglers, and I think he's actually really effective at being able to defeat people pretty significantly. And I'm not really the biggest threat to a Galio is playing AD champions and whatnot. So yeah, it's one of those things for me. And I know I see somebody called me out on Swain. That's another champion I forgot. I probably would actually probably put him in like B tier just because he kind of scales without doing anything, and his base damages are pretty nutty. Um, but yeah, there's actually a lot of difference in
Mhm.
our champions here. I'm actually very interested. This is my first time seeing the your mid lane picks, and I'm actually very curious on the fact that we have so much different. You put Vlad very highly yet
Yeah,
again.
it's like the same thing where it's like I would say mid's the most competitive role, but I think it's um I don't I don't know. I just don't have a problem with Vlad in like DCCS, I would say. I just think it one shots a lot of 80 carries and I think that's really valuable. Like it kind of goes against of the whole like you're giving up lane, but I think with Vlad you can still have a chance. Like you can do certain things to like freeze your wave or pull your wave, which I think some DCCS laners know. I don't think it's like a uncommon. I hope so because if a jungler can do it, I hope a DCCS mid laner can do it. But like I feel like it's a very easy thing to operate on. I just don't think it's a hard champ. I really don't. Malzahar, our Malzahar's the same. I think your Zoe's lower. Uh,
Yes, my Zoe is a lot lower. I have Zoe in C because I don't think anybody in the DCS will actually knows how to play her. Like maybe if we had like Crowstar or Dan
yeah.
playing in this tournament, I mean, yeah, sure, Zoe would be higher, but we don't. The only person that I can imagine to play Zoe is Mystery Van, and that's just
Mhm.
because Mystery Van has a giant freaking champion pool. I'm pretty sure Mystery Van will play any one of these champions on the list, but I think
I just
Zoe's just
find Zoe way too oppressive to not put her in S. Like,
and I yeah, and I just look at it through the viewpoint of Zoe's just not great in the DCCS.
Maybe historically, but I believe there's a mid laner out there watching right now. It's like Zoe's an S. Maybe I'll try. Like maybe Cyan pulls out Zoe this weekend because I mean, like she plays Ziggs, right? Like they're kind of the same poke champs. Like I just think it's really good, and she
Now,
like provides so much.
Are you ready for me to get on my soapbox real quick?
Yeah.
Right. So in my S tier, right, I have Ari and Talon. For the love of God, guys, these champions are really good.
Yes.
And Talon's really freaking phenomenally good. Like, actually a busted champion. Like, legitimately, play Talon. You will win lane. He is such a free win a lot of the times. Like, he is a busted champion. He rotates around the map. He does everything ideal for a mid lane. The only reason I don't put him in S+ tier is because I wouldn't say blind him. But in just about every matchup, you should be able to kill whoever you're going against and then roam. You don't have to do the Aurelian Soul strategy of shove and roam. You can just kill them and roam, and in a bad matchup, you just turn around and just push and roam and then kill the enemy jungler. Meet him at red buff at level 2. He can't do anything to you. What is he going to do? Smite you? Like, legitimately, Talon's such a good pick. Please, mid laners.
So, are you ready for the counter? Are you ready for the counter?
Okay.
So Talon got nerfed really hard with this W, so he lost wave clear. A. B, you don't play Conquer Talon anymore, you play Electrocute Talon, I'm pretty sure. Yes. So what happens is since so many DCCS tanks get played, what Nighthawk said, like, it's kind of hard to actually play Talon. And since you don't have the Conquer build anymore, you're forced in the Electrocute build, which is like kind of annoying. I originally had Talon, like, before I guess I thought about that patch, because I would always advise people to play Talon because I think Talon's really good. Like, if anyone what champions do I play in? Any Talon and I don't know, a third, maybe Syndra. Syndra's kind of hard, but for like a beginner, like I think Talon's fairly simple and easy to pick up. But with like the nerfs and like so many tanks, it's like hard for me to put Talon high.
Yeah, I get that reasoning behind it, but I always see nobody putting any priority onto it. The only person I would advise not playing Talon into is like Dig, because Zola's just going to play Ornn or some stupid tank mid. Mystery Van's probably another exception, but he might actually try to meet you assassin v assassin because he's a madman and nobody knows what the hell Mystery Van is thinking. So yeah, it's one of those things that goes on there. I also think Fizz is a very simple assassin to learn.
I agree.
And I think it's a champion that I think DCCS players would actually really find themselves finding success on.
I think Fizz is good into a lot of people's champions pools, and it's been something I've been like kind of preaching for a while. I only have it in B because I think it's only a counter pick. I don't think you can blind pick it. It's like my like whole thing. Like I just think with how many people play tanks, it's hard to blind pick. So it's not like the difference is like LeBlanc. I think you can blind pick. Even if you get a tank plate into it, you're still gonna like get kind of ahead. With Fizz, you're just gonna get CC'd down. That's kind of the problem to me.
Yeah. With that being said, looking at some other champions, I'm gonna go ahead and call you out for your distaste over my boy Zillion. Where the hell is Zillion on your list? He's all the way in D tier. Explain this crime to me. Zillion deserves better.
So with again more assassins getting played, I would say more aggressive picks getting played mid. It's harder for me to put Zillion above like higher, and I don't know if I've seen very many Zillions like do really well. It is nice because it's like, oh, my teammate entered, I ulted them, but like outside of that, I don't think it's that good of a pick. Like I would pick so many other, like I would pick Victor over Zillion. I think.
Shameful,
Yeah.
absolutely disgusting is what I have to say about that. Other than that, I actually, I think there's one champion that I have that you do not have, which is Sion. So I'm going to give a little bit of love to Sion because I think Sion's a champion that a lot of people sleep on. And that's why I put him actually inside of my mid lane tier list. Because Sion, oh, wait, no, you actually have him. You have him.
I'm pretty sure I do.
Yeah, you have him in C. So, but Sion is one of those champions that I don't think a lot of people think about in mid lane, but he has priority in lane. He hard shoves. He hits 6, and he can roam top or bot or go to any objective fight. Like, Sion's actually a sleeper strong mid laner, I feel like, because of the fact that he has so much utility in his build, and he's actually good in most matchups. So, I think Sion is actually a champion that I think I feel like Zolo would play Scion, to be fair. Like, he'd probably be the only person that would be like, oh, yes, Scion. Mystery Vein would probably try to play some weird AP version of it, but I think
Nautilus?
Scion's actually slept on. Yeah,
I'm surprised you put Scion over Nautilus. I think Nautilus is way better than Scion. I think it does Scion's job better for mid laner, I would say.
The only reason I put Nautilus a lot lower is because even though Scion's probably worse off than Nautilus. One thing I've noticed is people will go much more AP heavy.
Mm-hmm.
That temptation isn't there with Scion. The only temptation you have is Intine Scion, which even that at least does some objectives. But with Nautilus, you're like, I'm gonna go Proto Belt, and I'm going to go some AP dumb stuff, and I'm gonna try to 100 people with Depth Charge, and it just doesn't work. You're like, wow, why did they stay alive? And it's just like, yeah, that's exactly why they stay alive. So I like Nautilus when you pair it together with a strong jungle as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you play jungle, if you play like mid lane Nautilus and you pair it together with something like a Graves or something like that that's going to be very aggressive, or a Lee Sin, I think that would be really good for me. But I think he's exploited in matchups, so I don't think he's as good in like a blind sense. I think he does rely on jungle pressure. And I do think that in terms of who is more stable, I think Scion is a much more stable champion than Nautilus is in terms of a solo laner.
So, with mid lane, how I perceive mid lane is I perceive, like, I guess there's only 6 people now, but there's usually, like, a top that's pretty heavy and, like, a few people that just can't lane or, like, just can't do anything. So, like, I think I don't have that many tanks, and if I do, it's like they're pretty good mid lane. It's like Nautilus, Ornn, and like maybe if you would consider Set as like the 3 tanks I'd play. But I feel like you just give up so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard for me to argue it. Like, if I had a mid laner that couldn't like had to play tanks, or like couldn't play any like control mages or like assassins and could only play tanks because they just auto lose lane, it's like I would just look for a different mid laner. I just think mid provides so much, it's hard to just relegate them to something like that.
Yeah, I think if you're going to play something like the tanks and stuff like that we have discussed,
Yeah.
I do think that you have to have a sense of urgency with you. Like, you pair it
Yeah,
together
totally.
with a strong jungler, or you pair it together with the fact that you're getting objective control with it. Because
Yeah.
if you're picking a tank in the mid lane, I'm expecting a lot of team fighting. So
Yeah.
I do think that is a thing that you have to look out for. Also, you and me, we have Zolo in the chat, so let's go ahead and talk about real quick that
Yeah, what
Anivia
are
is
we gonna talk about?
here.
I think she's
that's pretty
okay.
stable. I think the only time you play Anivia is if you actually put time into the champion.
Yeah,
So
totally.
I think
It's a comfort champ.
yeah, I think it's just a comfortable champion. It's the most banned champion in DCCS, I think. But
Yeah, probably.
yeah, it's definitely something that I feel like you have to put a lot of time in, which is why it's in C tier. And a lot of people are not going to do that because Anivia is a little bit of a. It takes a special mindset to play a lot of Anivia, to be fair.
Yeah, it's different than a lot of other champs, I feel like.
Now,
What I just said before was not at Zolo. It's actually at a lot of mid laners. So nice try, but I mean, if we do want to continue talking about Zolo, it's the whole. Actually, you don't even have that many tanks, but I have a bunch of tanks like mid. Like, I think Mordekaiser, Renekton, Maokai, Zac. I think the Zac pick actually wasn't that good in the series, but I just don't think any of these champs should get played. I just think you give up too much, and there's there's better tanks to play mid lane that you can at least provide something.
I feel like they get kited out harder by a lot of the champions. Like, you and me have Syndra very high, for instance.
Yes.
S plus. Like, that's a champion that would absolutely dumpster something like a Mordekaiser.
I don't see enough Syndra, honestly. I feel like I don't see enough Syndra.
Yeah, I think our S pluses altogether is like we don't see enough of these champions besides Vigar. I think, from myself. Is there any champion that you're looking at between the list that you think that we should touch on then, to kind of give an idea of it, or should we just go ahead and move on to our AD carries?
I mean, the only other one I can possibly think of, I guess, the two that come to mind would be like Zerath Vel'Koz, and I think both of those are like pretty decent against, I would say, a very like common pool of DCCS. I don't think they should be like blind picked, blind picked, but if you like put some time into it, I mean, we don't have much of a season, but like next season or something, they're like pretty decent. There's some like if you're blind picking Orianna or Syndra, and you like pick Xerath, you just outrange her in total. Now it just requires some positioning, but if you put time into it, like similar to like our thoughts on like Anivia and stuff like that. Actually, I have a pick I want to talk about. Completely changing subjects. Soraka. Soraka mid's a thing as well. Okay. I had a friend play it the other week. He played it into Zed. That sounds terrible, right? Zed could never kill Soraka. It was really nice. Practice it. Practice it for tank. Same. It's like the same thought process with top lane.
This guy's on a Soraka kick. If I have one that I'm going to talk about, it's going to be Ezreal. I think he's actually a very stable champion to play. He's a very good AD champion. I think he's actually a busted AD carry at this current moment. And I think he does well into a decent bit of matchups. So that's why I have him up there with Corki and Lucian in terms of the AD carries, because I do think that they're really good to play into counterpick scenarios. But I like Ezreal mid because it's just one of those things where it's like you actually pack a good amount of damage. You have a very strong 2-item power spike. It's a very good champion in my opinion, and I think it's a good thing to kind of rotate around the map with an Ezreal because he has some innate playmaking potential and good kiting for himself.
I don't have him on my list, but I would place him probably a little bit below Varus. I have Varus in like C. I think Varus is pretty good as well. It's like similar thought process.